10-minute rule motion, Mr. Ian Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to require the government to work with local authorities and licensing authorities to make the use of polycarbonate bottles as a replacement for glass bottles mandatory in premises with a history of violent incidents. A year ago, my constituent, Nicola Roberts, was in a nightclub in Wrexham. Nicola was 20 at the time. Without warning, an unknown person threw a glass bottle across the room. It hit Nicola on the head and shattered, causing 3 deep wounds to Nicola's face. The wounds required 17 stitches. Nicola decided she was not going to accept this. She came to see me with her mother and asked why it was that when alternatives are available, glasses and glass bottles are still used in licensed venues. I confess that I did not know the answer myself, and from then I've worked with her on the question. Thankfully, Nicola has now recovered fully and is looking forward to entering her final year at Leicester University. She's using her experience to raise awareness of this issue. We know very well that Nicola is not alone as a victim. According to the Home Office, there are around 87,000 violent incidents involving glass every year in the UK, and around 5,500 glassings are reported annually. Glass can cause considerable physical damage, and glasses and bottles used as weapons can intimidate victims, bar staff or bystanders, and cause serious injuries. Intact glass can cause significant damage itself. However, when used as a sharp weapon, the potential damage can be quite horrific. Glass-inflicted injuries to the eyes and face can require stitches or surgery and can result in heavy blood loss and even loss of sight. As a result of my bill appearing on the order paper, I was contacted by another victim who has suffered even more grievously than Nicola. Jane Sherriff is a young mother. As a result of an attack with a glass bottle in April this year, her husband, Phil, was killed. In Jane's own words, she does not want this to happen to another family. Like Nicola Roberts, she was not prepared to accept the law as it stands. She set up the Bottlestop Now Facebook site, calling for the banning of use of glass bottles in late-night venues. I've seen a powerful ITV News report which sets out her case. She's attracted huge support, which has helped me in preparation for the debate today. Her site now stands as a record of the huge scale of the problem and of the profound grief of those affected by attacks using glass and glass bottles. For thousands of our constituents, particularly young people, there are huge lasting physical and psychological scarring from their injuries. I'm pleased that the government has taken some steps in this area. Reassuringly, the Police Reform and Social Responsibility Act 2011 has lowered the standards for the Licensing Act 2003 to pass restrictions on a premise, making it easier for the police to seek the imposition of appropriate conditions if they have a concern about a particular set of premises. The new package of measures will give more powers to reduce alcohol-related violence, deaths and personal injuries, including the imposition of conditions restricting glassware at specific premises. It will also make it easier for licensing authorities to remove licences from or refuse to grant licences to premises that are causing problems. But we must do more. Violent incidents and attacks on our constituents, particularly young people, remain common. As long as glassing incidents continue to occur at pubs and clubs, it's the government's responsibility to take action to prevent more violence from occurring. I'm confident that more can be done at a government level to raise awareness and prevent the occurrence of future violent incidents caused by glass bottles. The government needs to ensure that local authorities and licensing authorities use the powers they have to promote the use of plastic bottles in bars and clubs where there is a history of violent incidents and glassing incidents. A number of towns and cities have made important progress on the issue. Newport city centre is now glass-free on Friday and Saturday nights after 10 p.m. in a bid to crack down on glass crime. This followed a campaign by the Safer Newport Partnership, which introduced a trial with polycarbonate glasses in 2010. As a result, glass and bottle attacks in the Gwentford area fell from 53 in 2006-7 to 16 between April and December 2011. Newport City Council used the Licensing Act Other local authorities need to be encouraged to do the same. Other towns and cities have taken action to varying degrees, including Glasgow, Bournemouth, Manchester, Reading, Cardiff and Fareham. Community safety partnerships across the country have been successful in addressing this matter. Furthermore, there's substantial expenditure on injuries for the taxpayer. Criminal injury compensation awards and NHS treatments are enormously expensive. This absorbs also a significant amount of police time, with an estimated £100 million bill for the NHS every year. Developing safer alternatives to traditional glasses could rightly involve the engagement of industry, trade and consumers to create solutions. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate all those involved in bringing about the universal adoption of toughened glass over the past 5 years, and to continue the development of manufacturing standards for tougher glass. What is most frustrating is that we have an alternative to lethal glass bottles already available. Polycarbonate makes a very durable type of plastic bottle and is extremely difficult to break. If glasses and bottles were replaced, if the number of violent incidents does not decrease, then I'm quite certain that the severity of the incidents would increase substantially. Nicola Roberts came to see me last September. Jane, Sherriff's husband, was killed this April. Phil would not have died if there had been in place a ban on glass bottles. We have an obligation, therefore, to act now. Government legislation in other countries, such as Australia, may offer us guidance in pursuing stricter enforcement of the UK Licensing Act. In Queensland, the liquor licensing authorities gave establishments a year, warning that they would face restrictions if it was determined they were a high-risk venue. The venues had to submit a risk management plan detailing the steps they'll take to minimise risk to patrons in order to avoid a blanket ban. Then high-risk venues that were issued with a blanket ban could only serve alcohol in toughened, tempered or polycarbonate glassware. Of course, this action of replacing glass bottles and glasses with polycarbonate bottles and glasses should not be taken alone, but rather within a collective framework, addressing other contributory factors to violence in our pubs, bars and clubs, including binge drinking and what action we can all take to minimise risks. Of course, binge drinking is a major issue, and we must continue to tackle antisocial behaviour in communities across the country. I know that these issues and related issues have been addressed in the Government's 2010 alcohol strategy, which includes commitments to introduce a minimum unit price for alcohol. We must also not overlook the causes of aggressive behaviour. However, glass replacement is one solution which has been proven to reduce the number of violent incidents and injuries. For as long as we fail to act, young people like Nicola will continue to be scarred, and wives like Jane will continue to be widowed. For this reason, I urge the House to support the bill.
Order. The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. Mr. Philip Davis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I shall say from the outset I don't intend to cause a division on this particular matter, and I don't intend to detain the House for too long, not least because, as you will appreciate, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure the whole House will appreciate, the Prime Minister may well be trying to get hold of me at this very minute. So it's best that I move on as quickly as possible. I don't want to disappoint him. But I had to oppose this particular bill, Mr. Speaker, because we've got a situation where we no doubt have an admirable aim, which is to reduce some of the serious offences that the honourable gentleman listed during his speech, but is going about completely the wrong way about dealing with the particular issue. And it always seems to be the view of the party opposite that if there's ever an issue, the solution is always to ban something or ban somebody from doing something, that that's the only solution that they ever look for. Unfortunately, it's like saying, for example, that there's so many accidents, so many people die each year on the roads that we should all go and ban cars. And this is as stupid a solution to this particular problem as that would be to road traffic accidents. There's no doubt that the desire to reduce the number of people who suffer horrific injuries as a result of thugs using glass bottles as weapons is one that we should consider admirable. But I don't believe that this answer to the problem lies in this bill. First of all, there are all the practicalities of banning the use of glasses and glass bottles. It would probably be virtually impossible to do across the country. Whilst it would be perhaps more easy to control the use of glasses, what would happen to wine bottles, champagne bottles, beer or Coke bottles? Will they not be allowed on the premises in case somebody gets their hands on them? What about glass tables that we might have on some premises? Are we going to get rid of those too? Will they be next? And then, of course, there's all sorts of dangerous things that are in pubs and clubs. Places that serve food have knives and forks. Now, you can do a terrible amount of damage to people with knives and forks. In fact, in a recent TV programme regarding the riots, actually a police officer was talking about the problems that they faced in dealing with thugs who were in a public house. He was complaining that everything was being thrown at them. Chairs were being thrown at them, tables were being thrown at them, frying pans were being thrown at them, and knives were being thrown at them as well. So perhaps the honourable gentleman will move on to stop any tables and chairs, frying pans, knives and forks, or anything else for that matter, being used in bars or pubs, lest some thug gets their hands on them and starts trying to assault people with them. Where on earth would this possibly end? We also ought to bear in mind that not all glassing incidents take place in public. Some of them take place in people's homes. And obviously banning all glass is not even a remote possibility in people's homes. So there will always be victims of nasty glassing incidents. And even if it were possible to ban all of the use of glasses in licensed premises, who is going to pay for this? If businesses are going to be mandated to supply non-glass glasses, not to mention bottles, in these hard-pressed times, are they going to be forced to pay, or are we going to pay for it from central funds or via the local authorities? So many pubs are suffering at the moment, not least from the effects of the recession, high taxation and the smoking ban, and this proposal will just be an extra level of extra regulatory burden and cost that the pub industry can ill afford and certainly doesn't need. There is a problem, Mr. Speaker, that the honourable gentleman has rightly identified, but there are better solutions than those covered by this bill. First and foremost amongst those solutions are harsher sentences for those who use glass as a weapon, and that's the route that the government should go down. Just to give you an example, we had a sentence recently for a Rebecca Bernard received at Bolton Crown Court recently, which was a complete and utter joke. She reportedly had 51 previous convictions for crimes including violence and threatening behaviour when she smashed a bottle over one man's head and then stabbed another man in the arm with its jagged neck. Unbelievably, she was not sent straight to prison for these violent attacks. And what is worse, that she appears to have previously been given a non-custodial sentence for another bottle attack. These ridiculously lenient sentences are completely outrageous and not in any way a deterrent or suitable punishment for such vicious assaults. And if the honourable gentleman wanted to tackle this particular problem by actually urging for much tougher sentences to be imposed on those people who perpetrate these crimes, then I would be very happy to support him, rather than going down this particular nanny state route. In fact, during a debate in the other place on this very subject in 2009, Mr. Speaker, Lord Mackay of Clashfern said that glassing certainly was a severe problem in Glasgow years ago. The answer to it, he said, that was produced at the time was very severe prison sentences. The judge who dealt with that problem meted out much more severe sentences than had previously been the case and reduced the incidence of the problem in Glasgow. So there we are, Lord Mackay of Clashford has pointed the way to the solution to this particular problem, and yet both the government and the opposition appear intent on ignoring the obvious solution that most people in the country would want to see. Aside from sentencing, there are other common sense solutions. Many licensees already use a combination of polycarbonate and glass, as the honourable gentleman said in his speech, using their judgment about times when antisocial behaviour could be more likely, and taking extra precautions at those times to minimise the risk of glassings. For example, many use plastic glasses during busy sporting events or at live music venues. And reports from around the country also show the success of voluntary efforts by Pub Watch and safer neighbourhood partnerships in encouraging and facilitating the use of polycarbonate glasses generally. And also, the 2003 Licensing Act already enables local authorities to attach conditions to premise licences for the prevention of crime and disorder, and or to protect public safety, either from the outset or as a result of a review requested by the police or another responsible authority. insisted on plastic glasses as an example of such a condition that could be imposed in a problem case, so the power is already there to use it when it is needed and appropriate, rather than imposing a blanket ban for all licensed premises as this bill proposes. So I very much support the use of voluntary and other initiatives already in place to minimise the problem of glassings, and I applaud the work of campaigners who highlight the problem and commend the existence of projects such as Design Out Crime, which try to promote new thinking and good design ideas to reduce crime, including in particular on the issue of alternative to glasses. Given all this, Mr. Speaker, I don't believe that there should be any moves towards mandating people to use plastic glasses and bottles in all cases, as this bill seeks to do. I support the voluntary measures, but more importantly, I support much tougher sentences for those people who perpetrate these terrible and horrific crimes, which will make sure that they can't be let out to commit them again. And for those reasons, I oppose this particular bill.
The honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many as are that opinion say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Joan Ruddock, Pamela Nash, Graham Jones, Susan Ellen Jones, Howell Williams, Albert Owen, Chris Bryant, Mark Tarmy and Chris Ruan.
Mr. Ian Lucas.
Plastic glasses and bottles mandatory use bill.
Second reading what day?
October the 26th.
October the 26th. Thank you.